Although the person originally scheduled to make this introduction is now unavoidably restrained back in Chicago, I am very honored and yes, humbled at having the privilege today to introduce and take part in today's induction of Dom Orejudos into the Leather Hall of Fame. I regret to say I never knew Dom. I never had an opportunity to meet him. And as we know, he left us way too soon in 1991. That said, to say that I don't feel his presence and energy every single day would be a misstatement. So for me, today is personal, as it is for all of us in the IML organization and everyone who knew and loved him. It's true that many of us here know Dom as the artist Etienne, or Stefan. Many of his pieces were on display in the pre-event room this weekend, and if you didn't see it, you missed something pretty remarkable. But his art also adorns the walls in the auditorium, primarily at the Leather Archives and Museum. His Storytime comic books were filled with something Dirk Daner described as an alter ego for our less cautious selves, with a fascination for danger, inviting it, romancing it, all within the safety of our imaginations. And those and so many other images certainly filled the void on those lonely nights way before the internet. His large murals on display at the archives were once housed in the famed Gold Coast in Chicago. Those murals are truly masterpieces and visually capture a hot and rapidly changing time in our community and serve to create an atmosphere of masculinity, leather, and you bet your ass, sex. But Dom was more than just an artist with a pen or a paintbrush. Not everyone here may know, and some may not even remember, but he was an accomplished ballet dancer and choreographer. True. He was the resident choreographer and principal dancer with the Illinois Ballet Company for 9 years, from the mid-50s to the early 60s. That's 50s and 60s, folks. Of special note, his ballet, The Charioteer, was created specifically to inaugurate the very first color telecast on WTTW, which is public television in Chicago, in 1968. By the way, the station won 3 Emmy Awards for it. In 1959, a reviewer in the Chicago Tribune called him, and I'm quoting, a performer of elasticity and charm, and praised his choreography as having bright thrusts of inventiveness and unmistakable personality. I think the Tribune didn't realize it, but they were also saying the same thing about his art and everything else he did. But it is his art and his lifelong partnership with Chuck Renslow that people remember best. It all began in 1949 at Oak Street Beach in Chicago. And after being relentlessly pursued by Chuck, it's called stalking these days, the two began a lifetime love affair and adventure that still lives to this very day. Now, Chuck's not here, so I can get away with this and share this with you. There isn't a time when Chuck sits down and starts to tell me and others around him a story about Dom, his face lights up, his eyes sparkle, and memory can't come out quickly enough. I see the love that Chuck carries for Dom to this day. A few years back, when Chuck was in the hospital, I showed him a rough cut version of the tribute video we were preparing for Mr. Marcus to play at IML that year. A very grainy yet restored video clip of Dom introducing Marcus on the stage at IML was part of it. When that clip came up, Chuck lit up, sat up in his hospital bed, asked, how did that clip survive after all these years? He then demanded, not once, but twice, that I stop the video, roll it back, and play it again. That's a love, folks. That's a love that is so deep and so special. If each of us is really, really lucky, we just might get a chance to know what Dom and Chuck shared. So, whether it's Chris Studios, or the Gold Coast, or Man's Country, or to that small thing we call International Mr. Leather, Dom was always busy creating a world for all of us, not just in art and dance, but for real. It's a world he didn't just create on stage or with his ink, but it's a world he truly lived. He passed in 1991 at the age of 58. His artwork is but one piece of his legacy that thankfully we could all still experience and get off to this day. But it's with International Mr. Leather, what was supposed to be this screwy, crazy, one-off, goofy bar contest in 1979 that now brings together some 18 to 20,000 people to Chicago each year. That world continues to thrive and evolve in ways that perhaps Dom knew it would. So he does live on in other ways, but it's IML that is the embodiment of everything he loved. Chuck is certainly the driving force behind IML these days, but I can assure you, it is Dom's spirit and sense of what he called living the moments, along with his legendary sense of humor and fun, that drives each of us forward each year. And for that, we will be eternally grateful. And I understand we have a video. Thank you very much.